Alright everyone, today's story is a small victory. First of all, I want to thank my subscribers. I want to thank my new viewers. I really appreciate you guys. Hope you're doing really well, and I hope you enjoy what I have to say about this firearm here. To give you a little bit of backstory why I'm holding this weapon. I used to carry a CZ75 compact model. It had a right-hand side thumb safety, so if you know, for right-handed shooters. And I quickly discovered after carrying it around and going to the range that I was more comfortable shooting southpaw. I'm left eye dominant, which was something I only figured out after I started carrying a weapon. With much chagrin, I ended up selling that CZ75 compact and picking up a Glock 26. That was actually a really good decision on my part. I kind of regret selling the CZ, only for the fact that I like CZs, but at the time, and with my budget, I needed to sell a gun in order to get a gun. So I picked up the Glock, and it was great. I don't have any complaints about Glocks. The fact that I don't have to manipulate a safety in order to point and shoot was great, especially as a left-handed shooter. For me at the time, my understanding was that a gun with manual safeties on both sides of the gun was either going to be a Beretta 92 or some $800 gun. And I didn't really want to carry a Beretta 92, so I went with a Glock. I had no issues with Glocks. I love Glocks. They're great. Glock 26 is an excellent little firearm. You can put a bunch of different kinds of mags into it. They're reliable. I actually like the rear sight, how it's kind of like a football post, the goal post, rear sight. That actually helped me a lot with figuring out how to shoot a pistol, in my early days of shooting. So going full circle though, now that I have a young daughter who can grab stuff, I am fearful of having my Glock around her. I want to be able to carry a weapon with a manual safety as a must. If you're a parent, you probably understand the sentiment, but if you're not, when your kid first starts rolling around and crawling around and grabbing stuff, you go, "Oh crap! What if they get a hold of my gun?" So now I'm not stupid with my firearms. I don't just lay them around where she can grab them or anything like that. I usually carry my weapon when I'm at home, but for whatever reason, I want to be extra safe and have a manual safety on my primary sidearm. So, primary sidearm, but you know what I mean. So my plan is to pick up an Ambidextrous CZ75 full size. I found one finally for sale. I'm going to be picking it up. I just have to wait till this gun show that comes to my town in order to sell a few of my guns in order to get the money to buy this Ambidextrous CZ75. What that means is it has a manual safety on both sides of the gun, it has a slide release on both sides of the gun, and it's the CZ75 that I love. It's the bigger, full-size regular CZ75, 16+1 capacity, steel frame, which I'm a big fan of. But in the meantime, until I get that, I will want to be carrying this 9mm 1911. This is a Rock Island GI model 9mm chambered 1911. You can see it has these 10-round Mekgar magazines. Mekgar make Beretta mags, they make Sig mags. Mekgar is a really good magazine company. This gun came with a number of them, which is really exciting, and it came with a hard case. So for $350, brand new at the store, retail, I got a steel-framed GI 1911 chambered in 9mm, which is a really soft shooting gun, with the grip safety and the manual safety for an excellent price. Now, with that being said, being a southpaw, I need that ambidextrous safety, and because the GI model only had the safety for a right-handed shooter, I quickly switched out the safety for this ambidextrous safety. So you can see on both sides of the gun, that paddle there and this paddle right here are my safety paddles now. When I picked this up, I put it on layaway. I also went online and picked up Ambidextrous safety paddles and the sear pin for an Ambidextrous 1911. That sear pin is, of course, peened on one side to prevent it from sliding through your gun, but on the other side, the side that comes out the right side of the gun, it has a cutout, like a dado cutout in the gun, or in the pin, that allows your, let's see if I can show you, that step right in front of my fingernail right there, that step runs as this actuates. That step rides in that cutout on that pin and prevents the safety from flying out, the safety paddle from just popping off the gun. It is a really cool feature that I've added, but I had a little bit of a time kind of finishing up this project, and mostly just from my ignorance of the 1911. This is my first actual 1911 gun. So I've had, like, of course, the CZ75, it's fairly similar. Had like Tokarevs and other, facsimiles of this type of gun, but never an actual 1911. Now, 1911s, for those of you who don't know, they have a mainspring that is housed in the back of this grip. This block, this pin that pushes out, and this block actually slides off. And you have this like leaf spring that sits in the back. The top of the leaf spring has these 3 fingers that are cut from the leaf spring, and they're all bent in different directions. Now, one of those fingers has a hook that is cut onto it, and it's bent forward. There's a slot that's cut out, kind of a horizontal cut that the bottom of your mainspring fits into, and your leaf spring kind of bends that way, and the 3 fingers sit up like that. Now, the one with the hook goes on the left side of the gun over the sear foot. Now, the foot kind of hangs down like this in the back, if you can imagine, and that hook goes over the top of that. I didn't realize that when I put this back together for the first time. So for me, I put the gun back together and said, oh, sweet, now it's ready to go. I racked the slide, and the hammer followed the slide home. So instead of locking open like that, the hammer just followed the slide home, which was a really big deal. I don't know if that means that it would go off and just go full auto or what, but if you can imagine, I rack the slide, and the hammer follows it home, strikes the back, fires the round off, and bang, the slide goes back, and the hammer follows the slide home again. I don't know if this would be a full auto 1911, but or if it would just malfunction and not fire anything. But to me, I was like, oh no, that's not good. So I ended up figuring out that that hook on that one finger has to go over that little catch, just the same way as your grip safety paddle has to go over on the other side of that sear foot. So for me, it was a little bit of a learning experience, and I'm glad I figured that out, because now my trigger hammer stays open, which is really cool, because now I can manipulate my safety with my left hand. See if you can see that. So a little bit of a victory there. Me defeating my own ignorance as far as this weapon's concerned. I'm not an expert on 1911s, but I do appreciate them, and I appreciate all of the machining and the engineering that went into designing this, because this is actually a brilliant firearm. My only complaint is that it only has 10 rounds, but I'm a capacity junkie, so I like more capacity. But 10 rounds ain't bad for what it is. Really feels nice in the hand. Again, with that safety being there, I like being able to hold it southpaw and click bang, being able to shoot with both hands. I'm a big proponent of manual safeties on guns now. I never used to be, But once you get a family, you realize, oh, everything needs to be safer. So, especially with deadly force weapons, you need to have that safety on there, boy. So, with that said, I hope you're having an excellent day. And if you got a chuckle out of my ignorance, I hope it made you laugh. Again, I can't say enough good things about this gun now that it's all fixed up. I was really frustrated for a few days, just not knowing what to do. But now that I figured it out, all went back together fine. I thought it was an issue with maybe some of the parts, but no, it was just user error. So, but yeah, now I have an Ambidextrous 1911. Very, very cool. I will be loading this up and carrying it, and definitely pretty excited about that. So if you have any 1911 stories or whatever, share them in the comment section. If you're a guy from Europe or someplace where you can't carry a weapon, hope you really enjoyed this, and I hope you kind of learned something about how these work. I know, like in popular video games or whatever, you only get to see the like this view of it. You know what I mean? So maybe my kind of story helped you figure out how these firearms work, and help you gain a little bit more knowledge. Here's a little bit of a magazine function test with all the magazines I have. So one. Again, it came with these mags, which I couldn't believe. 2. 3. So, with that said, the other thing that I was really happy about doing this project was it gave me a chance to take this gun apart and actually oil, and I don't use oil, I used grease on all of these internal components that don't really do much moving around, but they just sit there. I wanted to protect them, so I figured grease was probably the best option for corrosion resistance. But yeah, anyways, this isn't like all oiled up like my guns usually are. If you see a gun in any of my videos and they're really oiled up, it means that they are in my storage. So I like to protect them with a lot of oil, and but this one I'll be carrying, so it has just a little bit of oil on it, but not anything that it's going to create fouling or whatever. I know that 1911s, you have to keep them pretty clean and maintenance them a lot more than a Glock, but that's okay with me because I need that safety. So anyways, I hope you're doing really well. I will talk to you guys later, and I hope you enjoyed my 1911 story. Talk to you later.